At this big age, do you make too much money to be broke? And are you broke, or do you just have poor money management? Girl, I'm not trying to comfort you. I'm honestly just speaking from my own experience and how I went from being $27,000 in debt to having a net worth of over $100,000 on a teacher's salary in New York City. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It is Miesha B here, back at it again with another video. My name is Miesha, also known as the Bold Budgeter, and I create content around financial literacy with sprinkles of faith, getting my life together, and lifestyle. If this is something that you're interested in, please be sure to subscribe. And if this is content that you like, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and share this as well. So right now I have a net worth of over $130,000. And it's here, y'all. Glory to God, we get money in real life. Okay. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring us back to a time when I didn't have my life together. A time when I was out here acting a fool and not doing what I needed to do to have a lifestyle of abundance. Truthfully, I grew up as an only child and was very, very privileged in terms of I got everything that I wanted. I didn't want for anything. And in my adult years, I brought that with me, feeling that entitlement, which caused me to go into a lot of credit card debt because I got my first credit card, started swiping it away, didn't understand how compound interest worked, and ended up in a situation at 18 that wasn't ideal. But again, still not knowing any better, super ignorant, kept on this path until I was about 20, I want to say 24, 25. I started my personal finance journey in September of 2019 with $27,000 in debt, and that ranged from all of the things from credit cards to owing on vacations to owing the IRS. Yo, if there's one thing you don't want to do is owe the IRS, but child, that was all part of that debt too. And it was something that I thought was normal. I didn't even know how much debt I was in, to be honest. I just knew that I made too much money to never have money. And I'm a teacher, so when I say too much money, I have never made $100,000. That's actually one of my goals this year, is to gross $100,000. But I have never made $100,000. At that point, I'm gonna say I was making maybe $72,000 a year. Which for some people sounds like a lot, and don't get me wrong, I am so thankful for my salary, but I live right outside of New York City and I work in the city, so if anyone is familiar with New York, you know that it is extremely expensive. So although my salary is more than a lot of teachers around the country, please do not think that I'm living like the lifestyle of luxury. I am, but it's not due to the generosity of my salary. I have 2 master's degrees and get a little bit more compensation than my other colleagues who might just have 1. But like I said, I knew that I was making enough money to like do the things that I wanted to do, but yet I never had a good savings account that I was proud of. I was barely investing in my 403b. I now had a mortgage because I bought my co-op because everyone told me like that's the thing you're supposed to do. You're supposed to buy, which for me at this point, I don't think that was the best decision because I've been here 3 years and already I'm going to be moving to be closer to my partner. And I just feel like at that point in my life, I should have just got me a nice little studio apartment, rented it, because I wasn't gonna be here forever. So I bought a co-op, I got a new car, I had all this credit card debt, and I just remember like looking at my numbers like, what in the heck did I do? Like, what is happening with my life? Why is it that I really can't afford to do the things that I want to do? And I'm in this place of just like, how is this my life? And again, there was some ignorance there, so it wasn't like I was in panic mode. It wasn't like, oh my God, I can't afford things. So the truth is, paying the minimum payments. I was able to afford things and travel and do all the things, but I had no backup. Like if something was to go wrong, if I was to lose my job, I would be in so much trouble. So at that point, I found Dave Ramsey. I was just like on YouTube, something like how to make a budget, like something so simple. I didn't know what I was doing, and I came across Dave Ramsey, and from there my life changed. I made my first budget. I created cash envelopes. I decided to implement the debt snowball, and really just got super focused, said no a lot, but I got myself out of debt. I worked my butt off. At one point, I was working 6 active jobs in order to pay off my debt as soon as possible. So I worked my 9 to 5 as a teacher. I was tutoring students in China through a company called iTutor. I was also tutoring on Cambly with adults across the world. I was coaching to make extra income. I was doing PM school after school, so helping kids with credit recovery. And then on top of that, I was covering someone's class who was out for paternity leave. So I was doing all the things. Everything that I did though was also related to my profession, so education. I know for some people that's not really an option and they have to try different things. I didn't want to learn a new skill. I didn't want to have to go through another certification. I wanted to use the talents and the certifications that I already had spent so much time and energy honing and fostering. And also, there was nothing else that was comparable to how much money I could make. So from my regular brick and mortar school job, anything extra, which is called per session, I would make $50 an hour. I could not work at TJ Maxx and get $50 an hour, or Barnes & Noble and get $50 an hour. So I really tried to prioritize getting extra hours at work. Then outside of that, anything that I got for iTutor was around, it could range from like $20 to like $40 an hour, depending on how many people were in my class and how well they rated me. The better I got rated, the more money I got. So again, it wasn't really comparable in terms of pay, and I could work from home, and I got to work hours that I wouldn't be able to work if I was working somewhere else. So because people were in China, it was a different time zone. So I could teach, you know, from my house starting at 11 o'clock all the way to like 5 in the morning, whereas it would be really hard to find a job that I could do that. Plus, I wouldn't be able to find a job that paid that much. So that just made sense for me. Cambly was super easy. That was $10 an hour. But again, I didn't have to leave my home. I didn't have to pay for gas, and it was very conversational. And I got to speak to adults just like this. So we laughed. I really made some really great friends on there and really appreciated Cambly for what it was. If I just wanted to make some extra money, that was a way for me to do that. And I used to bring in at least an extra like $150 a week. And with Cambly, which I also appreciated, was I got paid once a week via PayPal. Compared to everything else, there was a little bit more of a delay. With iTutor, I got paid once a month. My per session jobs at school, I got paid every 2 weeks. But with Cambly, I had consistent weekly income that really helped to supplement whatever I was paying towards debt. And all of that stuff just really helped with my debt journey. And I was just really strategic about how many hours I had to work. So if I wanted to make $1,000 to pay towards my credit card, I knew that that meant that I needed to make like $500 at iTutor, maybe $400 at Cambly, and then the difference I would have to make working per session jobs at my school. So I was very mindful of what my target was, and I think that was super helpful coming from Dave Ramsey's camp, is that you need to see how much you owe in debt and specifically in what, right? So I was able to say like, okay, I owe $1,200 on my Barclays card and $8,000 on my Chase card and another $5,000 on my other Chase card, and really be strategic about which one I'm gonna pay off and how quickly. So once I had all those numbers down and could see a clear picture, I'm not gonna lie, it did cause so much anxiety because I was like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna be able to pay all of this off? And truly, the thing that gave me some solace and some peace was creating a plan. I will link down below a debt repayment calculator that was super helpful for my journey, where you plugged in how much you owe, plug in the minimum payments, plug in the interest rate, and it lets you kind of play around with whether you want to do the snowball or avalanche method, and you can play around with how much money you put towards what and see how long it would take you to pay off that debt. Once I had a clear picture, I was able to create a plan. All right, if I want to pay my debt off in 3 months, I have to work this many hours. All right, that's not feasible because I would literally be a walking zombie. So let's say if I made it 6 months. Okay, still that would be cutting it close. All right, let's see 8 months. All right, 8 months is doable. If I work an extra 20 hours a month, I could possibly do that. That really allowed me to see the light at the end of the tunnel because I have done things consistently before, right? I'm a 3-time college graduate. I survived 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of grad school at UConn at a place where I didn't think I would make it, another 2 years again at grad school, and all of those things happened after time. Even if it says that you have like 4 years left on this journey, 4 years is gonna come regardless. And in 4 years, you could either be in debt or you could be out of debt. And for me, that was kind of how I was just like, a year is gonna come regardless. God willing, a year will come. I can decide right now if I'm gonna be in debt for another year or if I will be debt free and be able to build wealth in a year. And I chose the latter, which works out for me. While on my debt free journey, I read all of the books and listened to all of the podcasts. I probably read about 25 different books and listened to hundreds of podcasts and dozens of YouTube videos to really build my knowledge. And that's when I found the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. I will link my other videos about the FIRE movement if you need some more context. But I started learning about people who were able to build wealth who didn't have traditionally high incomes, like people who were making around the same that I was making or even less. And the freedom that they were experiencing was like, I want that. I want to be free enough to take time off with my future babies. I want to be free enough to go on vacation for 6 months with my family. I want to be able to support my parents if they need me to. And that was something that I was like, all right, let me find out more about that. So within my reading and podcast, I learned so much more about the FIRE movement and decided that that was something I wanted to do. And I sat down with my numbers and I was like, okay, how much expenses do I have? And I decided that I could live off of $50,000. I imagine that I would have, not a mortgage to worry about, and housing is our biggest expense for most of us. I will have less expenses. So I went with $50,000, times that by 25 and got 1.25 million. So the FIRE movement goes by the general rule of thumb, which is times whatever you want your living expenses to be by 25, and that is your FIRE number. So how much money you would need to retire whenever, but essentially early. When I did my FIRE number, it came out to 1.25 million. And for me, that number was just so manageable. Like I could see that happening for me and my life and my family. And at that moment, I was like, all right, cool. I can create a plan. I can break things down. I can set myself on a path to actually hit this number. And that's why I decided to really prioritize my investments over a lot of other things. And I want to make this disclaimer that I have a very full life. I get a massage once a month. I get my hair done frequently. I travel once a month. Maybe I'm not catching flights, but just next weekend I'm going away for 3 days to a getaway cabin. This summer I'm going to Mexico and Europe, and I'm able to do all these things while investing into my future because I don't have debt. I don't have to pay off, you know, creditors. It's not, my money is going towards my lifestyle and my choices and not for my previous mishaps or mistakes. Now, after I got my first 100,000, I was just like super excited and then kind of felt like, all right, what's next? Obviously, my first million is the next thing that I want to focus on, but it's a whiles away. So what can I focus on right now to ensure that I get to that million in a smaller step? So right now my focus is on getting $100,000 in investments alone. And right now I have 91,000 and some change in my investments. And I'm super excited because I am so close, but I need to be super focused and ready. So the reason I decided to really focus all of my disposable income into my investments is because of compound interest. People don't call compound interest the eighth wonder of the world for nothing. It works and it works hard. And once you hit that $100,000 in investments, your money just skyrockets. And that's what I want mine to do, child. I am a long-term investor who is focused on building my wealth over the long haul of things. I'm really focused on building generational wealth for my future descendants. I can't wait to have babies, y'all. For my future children and my grandchildren and their children. So for me, it's really about what can I create that's going to be sustainable for them to last. So because of that, the investment account that I really target is my Roth IRA. If you're not sure what the Roth IRA is, I will link a video down below of the 5 benefits of the Roth IRA that I did a couple of weeks ago. Nonetheless, I am fully focused on maxing that out every single year. And again, we're talking about breaking things up into smaller chunks. So my goal is 1.25 million. In order to do that, I needed to break that down and really focus on my investments, which meant $100,000 in investments. And from there, we even got even more micro in terms of which investment accounts am I prioritizing. And the first one is the Roth IRA. The annual limit is $6,000 for the tax year, which goes from January 1st, let's use this year's date, so January 1st, 2022, up until April 15th, 2023, which is tax day. Now, regardless of that, what that means is that I have 15 months to put away $6,000. Because there is some overlap between the different Roth IRA years, I personally try to max out within the calendar year. So that way 12 months, it's all set and done, and then I can start again on January 1st of the following year. So that leaves me with 12 months to invest $6,000. And I break that up into an even smaller goal of making sure that I invest $500 a month for the whole year. And that brings me to 6,000 because 500 times 12 equals 6,000. Additionally, I fully max out my 403b, which will be $20,500. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the 403b, it is a retirement account so similar to the 401k. The only difference, the 403b is for people who work in the nonprofit sector. Along with that, I am finally contributing to my 455 plan, which allows me an additional vehicle to invest towards retirement through an employer-sponsored plan, which means I get all the tax advantages, and even better than the 401k, whenever I decide to leave my job, I will have access to that money in my 457 plan without any penalty. Now, I will be taxed on the money and the gains that I receive, but there's no early withdrawal penalty, which is why I wanted to really start putting some money into that. Now, that's only at 5% because financially I cannot afford to max out all of these accounts, but it is something that I did prioritize and putting some money away because, y'all, it's not about the amount, it's about building the consistency and the habit with investing. And as long as time is on your side, you will see huge gains in your investments. So I invest about $300 a month through my 457 plan. And honestly, by the time I'm 65, if I just keep it that small number, I would have enough to be a millionaire. Yes, with even just $300 a month. Even with just 5% of my salary going away in investments goes such a long way. So if you are someone who has a 401k, a 403b, a 457, any type of employer-sponsored account that is pre-tax, utilize it even if it's 3%, 4%, 1%. Just start, and as you get raises and bonuses, bring it up 1%, okay? Maybe you start at 2% your first year. You get a bonus or a retention raise, up it 1%. up at 2%. And the longer you stay at the job, the larger your investment accounts will get and the larger your contributions will be, which will really, really work out with you in the future. And another thing to note is that because it's tax advantage, doing something like 3 to 5%, you won't even really feel the difference in your paycheck. So again, don't overthink the process, start small, and get invested. It is the best thing that you can do for your future. And there is no amount that is too small to get started, because this journey is super personal, and understanding that emotions are a part of finances is okay. But you have to start. At this big age, we can't use the excuse that we don't know enough anymore. We have things like YouTube, we have things like Instagram, and the internet. There are so many books, blogs, vlogs, everything to help build your knowledge when it comes to investing, and you need to take that leap and learn some more. If you have any questions, please leave comments down below and I will be glad to help you do that.